Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to TechGig webinar series, our endeavor to impart techies. We believe that sharing of knowledge is the key to enhance our skills and grow as professionals. With this principle in mind, we have initiated a series of webinars conducted by industry experts to give you all a crisp insight of various domains. The topic of today's session is Cloud Security for E-commerce and Banking, and this is the sixth session in the IT security series that we have on site. Our guest speaker today is Mr. Shanmugavel Sankaran, Chief Mixer at FixedNix Infosec Solutions Private Limited. He is the Chief Mixer of FixedNix India Private Limited, a new breed startup company in the pursuit of redefining security world. He is a certified Chief Information Security Officer and an alma mater of IIT, Triple IT with Masters in Technology and Computer Science. He has worked in Microsoft and IBM with 10 years of experience in various information security domains. Chief Mixer Shan has many accolades, endorsements, accomplishments, and honor for his service to the project management and information security community in his past organizations. For his living, he nicks security satans through an information security management system, helping small, medium business houses across the globe. So without further delay, I introduce you all to our guest speaker. Over to you, Shyam.
Thanks, Varna. Good afternoon, team. This is Shanmugavel Sankaran. Are you guys able to hear me? Okay. So without delay, I would like to kick off the topic. So my last role in the world is before kicking off my own organization, FixedNix Infosec Solutions. I was working as a Chief Information Security Officer for an e-commerce platform company. So looking as a Chief Information Security Officer of an e-commerce platform company, I have kind of analyzed a lot of GR products and helped the organization to put their information security management system. So that's my experience, and which has helped me understand the payment card industry data security standards and what they are trying to do with respect to the standard payment card industry standard is to protect the personally identifiable information. So I'm going to brief about this payment card industry data security standard, which is going to be of help for the e-commerce industry in particular. So how we can put the payment card industry data security standard for any e-commerce company. So this is one of the presentations which was put together with the help of MasterCard and Visa. They have immense material which is available in the internet when you go and put it up PCI DSS. So I will be able to share the data across TechGig, and you will be able to download it post the session. And you can reach out to me post the session. You can send out the questions during the session, and I will be able to answer it on top of the session as well. So without delay, I am moving to the session. Please turn off your cell phones, and so that you can concentrate on the presentation, and you can keep your side conversation aside for an hour, so that you will be able to take back something. So I hope everybody should be seeing the slide 3 now. So the slide 3 is talking about what is payment card industry standard. So the payment card industry data security standard was a standard created by MasterCard, Visa, Discover, and American Express in 2004. So it is nothing but a set of policies and procedures which is put together to help all these credit card companies to secure their transaction and protect their cardholders' personal information, so that it won't be misused by some of their employees or the attackers. So the adherence to the PCI DSS standard need to be done at different stages of the company, where the card data is stored, and then card data is processed, and then card data is transmitted. So there are a lot of different stakeholders, like the card data is being processed by the merchant. When we go to a big bazaar, when we go to a lot of merchant shops, we are swiping our card. So the card is getting processed, and the magnetic stripe which has stored the card information is getting transmitted to the MasterCard and Visa through the bank network, and it's getting validated, and at the end of the day, the transaction is getting passed. So there are so many different stakeholders in between the point of sale terminal and the bank who are issuing the card, who is allowing the transaction to go to. So basically, the POS terminal, from the POS terminal, it goes to the payment card hosting company, and the payment card hosting company who is hosting that POS solution. They pass it to MasterCard and Visa to get it validated, and then further it comes back to the issuing bank, and there will be another bank called acquiring bank. The acquiring bank may be the one who may be who might have provided the POS solution for the particular merchant. So, and the issuing bank is the one who might have issued the card for us. So, from the acquiring bank, from the acquiring bank's bank account, so there will be a debit request made to the issuing bank's account, and there will be transaction processed from with the help of Master, and the Master and Visa or whoever is the card issuer, they will also take a small cut of the transaction. And this POS hosting company or the payment card company, be it the PCI or the EDS or any payment technology company, they will also take a pay of the transaction as a transaction fee. So that's where whenever we are swiping our card in different places, we see a transaction charge being levied in different places. And there are a number of reasons, and how that transaction fee is getting shared across the different stakeholders itself is a big payment card industry science. So keeping all of the finance aside, so let's get into the technology side. So PCI DSS is a standard which is specifying the requirement of all of the business processes, and it is talking about a lot of best practices, what companies should be following to secure the sensitive information. So it has become a very recognized standard, though it was a standard which was kind of designed by Visa, Master, Discover, and American Express. So it has become a widely recognized industry standard. And all of the United States, different states of USA have abided to this particular standard. And they also kind of hold all of the payment card companies and different merchants to follow this kind of secure way of storing their customers' card information. So I am moving to the slide 4. What is cardholder data? So we are talking about data. So what exactly we are calling out here as data? So basically there will be one account number, whatever card we hold. So there will be one primary account number, and there may be an expiration date and the cardholder name. Most of the time, the account number may not be printed in full digit. It may be, there may be only part of the account number might be mentioned, and the expiration date, cardholder name may be mentioned in complete. And there will be CVV, card verification values, which will be printed in the back side of the card, which will be 3 digits. So, and there will be two different tracks of data, which is put inside the magnetic stripe. So this is what called as sensitive authentication data. So the cardholder data, maybe anybody can collect. A lot of times when we are giving it to even a petrol bank guy, so he'll be able to interpret it by seeing the front of the card. But a lot of times we kind of miss out that the backside, the 3 digit, we should not be keeping that as it is written while we are sharing the card to anybody. So we ideally speaking, we should be deleting that CVV number after noting it down in our own paper or any diary, and then remembering it forever. So we should not be leaving the CVV data, which is like leaving a password open for an email ID. So whenever we give a card, 18 card to somebody, it is like a username of an email account. And when we are leaving the CVV in the behind, it is nothing but writing the password of that email account also along with it. So probably when we are giving a visiting card to somebody so that we'll get connected with them, we usually give our email ID. But have you ever given our password along with it? No. Right? We want to do a networking with a particular business person by giving our business card. But we never want to share our password to them. It's like it's not necessary. that password information of the email ID is not necessary. So taking the same corollary, we can see that when we are giving a card to somebody, the CVV or the CVC number should be very personal. We should not be sharing it to anybody. It should be ideally deleted so that people may not be able to use that information in a wrong way. I'm moving to slide 5. So who must comply? Who and all should comply to this PCI DSS standard? So those who are merchants and service providers handle, store, process, and transmit cardholder data. They should be meeting this data security standard. And there are organizations which should validate their compliance and different merchant service providers. They have a mandate from this cardholder brands that they should be, probably if they are a merchant who are handling this many transactions, they should be kind of abiding to this much validation. And keeping that aside, even the service provider levels and validation requirements differs according to different credit card companies. It is available on the MasterCard site and the Visa or Amex site. So different companies say that, okay, you are transacting this many transactions, you are a payment card company, CCM, you are a EBS. So you are helping so many e-commerce companies to help them comply to e-commerce transactions on a daily manner, and your monthly transaction, quarterly transaction is 1 million transactions, and you are a merchant level 1, and you should have this much secure standard. And these kind of information are made available from the credit card company's website. So the security requirement usually is applying to all the system components. So when there is a payment card company interact with the e-commerce site, so it's not necessary that only the payment card companies alone need to secure the data. So the customer is interacting with the payment card company through the e-commerce site. There may be cases where the e-commerce site may not be storing the card information, but they are also having a responsibility to make sure whatever information they are collecting on the site from the particular customer should be stored in a secure fashion. And if that information is helping somebody, and if there is a hacker who is able to secure the card information of a particular customer, and if he is able to get into the e-commerce company's customer database information as well, and if he is able to correlate both of this information, he will be, without having the further authentication information like CVV and others, he will be able to do a lot of kind of ill activity against the customer. Maybe he can call the bank saying that I have all of the address, the personal information of the customer. I can tell the date of birth, etc., other information. I can change I can tell even the telephone number, etc., so that the bank will be, and I can change the telephone banking pin, or any other pin appropriate, or internet banking pin. So, and then I may be able to do some illegal activity. So, whatever personal information the e-commerce companies are collecting, or the banking sites are collecting from customers, that also should be secured, immaterial, whether they are storing the card information or not. So that's what is insisted by MasterCard and Visa. I'm moving on to slide 6. So what is PCI? Again, we have seen in the previous slide, the PCI scope includes storing, processing, transmitting. So it is talking about how the cardholder's data is secured during all these 3 different stages. Maybe it may get stored, or sometimes it may get processed. While on the go, it may get processed. We may be doing a transaction, and on the go, it may be getting processed. Sometimes we may allow some e-commerce sites to store the information. For example, ClearClick. So, and sometimes we may just use our card number information to process transactions, the IRCTC. And sometimes we may be just not be doing anything, and we may be just connecting to the cardholder data, like by giving our internet banking information without revealing even the card information. So, but all of these different cases, end of the it is very sensitive, and it touches upon the money behind the bank accounts. So So this PCI is nothing but a program. It's a continuous program, not a one-time project for all the e-commerce companies. So when I was there working with Reasoning Global, who's the host for State Bank of India, HDFC, and Reliance, and Wipro, HCL, many e-commerce portal of these big brands that are hosted by Reasoning Global. So now I am still a security consultant helping them mature their security processes. I was a Chief Information Security Officer for them while I was implementing PCI DSS security controls. So while we were carrying out this, we carried out this as a small security controls which is happening across different functions of the company. Not necessarily just one-time project where we will carry out some scans across our infrastructure. We will do a kind of a technology scan, and we will do some other scans, but not necessarily kind of a continuous program. If you are doing that aspect, it may not be a very successful stuff. So before I move further slides, and I am moving to slide 7. So PCI DSS has changed the way that we do business. The costs have increased. So it is about documentation. Lot of stuff, whatever we carry out today, we should document it. Probably we may be having a lot of security controls, but we may not be documenting it. So ideally speaking, we should be documenting all of that. So we were hosting the customer information on cloud. We were using Amazon Web Services. So to convince State Bank of India or HDFC kind of a bank, or Reliance kind of company, or Wipro kind of company to come and host their e-commerce site, though we are not going to have their card information stored with us. We need to kind of still convince them, saying that their customer data is in safe hands. So to help them understand all of that, we were documenting a lot of policies and processes with respect to different security controls. So which are helping them, saying that okay, we are abiding to the ISO 27001 kind of standard, and we are working towards getting this standards and certifications like PCI DSS and ISO 27001. By seeing all of this documentation, different vendors, big brands, are able to still feel convinced that even though this data is stored on cloud, so end of the day, when they are posting their e-commerce site, what is happening is they are sharing their customer information. Basically, these are my customers, and when the e-commerce customers, when the e-commerce site of SBI, for example, SBI card may come up, so it is only accessible for all SBI credit card customers. When SBI credit card customers want to buy some merchandise, e-commerce merchandise for their benefit through this SBI.com, it is hosted by Reasoning Global. What happens is it is hosted on Amazon Web Services instance in Singapore or Ireland. So what we were trying to convince the SBAs of the world is, so their data, whatever is getting stored, the preliminary customer information, whatever they are sharing, the customer name and the address and etc. stuff. So it's stored in a separate instance where it is stored in a highly secure manner, where the different instances of those different premium customers only have access to those instances. It's not necessarily they are sharing those instances with other customers. Probably for SBA, the other separate instances. For HDFC, it's also a separate instance. So it's not necessarily two different customers who are working on same industry function. Their data is stored on separate instance, same instance. So by helping those different customers understand that how the way cloud works, they're helpful to convince them that okay, even though it is hosted on Amazon Web Services, not that it's just an open public cloud. It's still a very secure cloud where only the people from Reasoning Global are only the customers of State Bank of India or HDFC is going to have access for those instances. So it's about documentation. So I'm moving on to slide 8. So what is new in PCI 2.0? So scoping has changed, the wireless networks, and how the way the hash data is getting stored, they have changed, and we have come across self-assessment questionnaire for this vulnerability testing. Also as a new factor we saw in PCI 2.0. Self-assessment questionnaire is a concept newly introduced. PCI 1.2 and the previous versions of the standard never had the self-assessment questionnaire. In the self-assessment questionnaire, so all the companies were asked to endorse on their own, saying that, okay, what are the different controls you have for the access control? What are the different controls you have for physical security? What are the different controls you have for storing data? So likewise, there was a self-assessment questionnaire sent by this payment card companies to evaluate what is the maturity level of different organizations with respect to PCI DSS standards. And this is a new thing. And the PCI Security Standards Council have different kind of global forums through which they have carried out this standard promotion. Though this is a standard coming out from a kind of a non-profit body, a kind of organization put together by the collaboration of MasterCard and Visa, they have got a very streamlined process how they are approving different people to become a vendor who will do the security analysis and security activities. So there are certified vendors who will be authorized as annual scan vendor and quarterly scan vendors, etc. So they will be the only one who will be allowed to check different payment card companies or any company, any banks or any institution who's part of this stakeholder who's transmitting, storing or processing the card information, which can get their infrastructure tested by them. So even the developing and publishing of this PCI documentation of different enterprises includes the self-assessment questionnaires. And there are also trainings which are approved by this the Global Council. I'm moving to slide 10. So there are different stakeholders I have mentioned. So some of the stakeholders are payment brands and acquirers and processors. So payment brands are the ones who kind of track compliance and enforce standards. So payment brands, right now we know a lot of four different brands of this: Master, Visa, Discover, Amex, and many other brands are there in India. So, but in US, these are the very famous standards, and we even rely on them. So they are the ones who determine event response and define merchant levels. So whenever a transaction is getting kind of passed through, we are going and using our MasterCard in one jewelry shop, which is saying that we want to swipe it for kind of 2 lakhs. And basically what will happen is when we are swiping it across, so based on our risk level and our allowed transaction level, so the transaction gets passed through by Master or Visa, and end of the day the POs used by the jewelry shop gets appropriate authorization, and based on which even the merchant who is using that particular POS, his risk level is also taken into account whenever that's a transaction being made. So for example, I have international debit card. I'm going and using it in an international ATM in the US, United States, and I am trying to swipe across some NK dollars, which seems to be suspicious for that particular payment gateway company or payment processor or payment brand. They do not allow, and they kind of say that it's not allowed. So based on the risk level of different merchants who are helping us process the transaction, and based on even the risk level of the particular customer, so the even responses of the particular payment transaction gets determined. So there will be different acquirers and processors who will also be determining the compliance level, what that merchant need to follow, and they will also approve the compensating controls. So basically the acquirers and processors are the one who will say that, okay, you don't have this much secure control. So what is that compensating security control you have got in place? So and they are usually approve that. So that's the role of acquirers and processors. I mentioned about a couple of different banks, right? Whenever a transaction is getting passed through, so the POS may be issued by some bank. It may be a HDFC bank's POS, and they may be holding a card of ICICI. So these are the 2 different banks which need to talk, but there may be 4 or 5 different stakeholders in between, these two different bands. So there were a lot of feedback which was given to PC Standards Council, and it was taken into account when they came up with the PCI DSS 2.0. So there were a lot of clarifications which was requested, and a lot of feedbacks and a lot of improvements with respect to how they test out and they come to any kind of a payment technology company. So so the new suggestions which came in this PCI 2.0 is mostly towards the requirement 11.2 and 12.8 with respect to different tools being used by the security contractors, and also the service provider, how the terms of the service provider and shared is getting defined. And also the new changes are about the scope of assessment. Whenever somebody is coming and doing assessment of a company who have some payment related work, and when they are carrying out this PCI DSS certification, so the scope of assessment, how it was defined before, and the segmentation of them is now changed. And the self-assessment questionnaire also has some changes, and 3.4 and 8.5 with respect to how the companies are storing the passwords and how the authentication is happening. So that also has changed, and basically the key management process and the encryption process, how the Accreditation hashing, the tokenization is happening, and will be storing a lot of information like password, username of each and every payment card related transaction. So how that is happening is getting determined in requirement 3.4 in PCI DSS 2.0. So there are now new guidelines released with respect to mobile payment. How the different mobile payments can happen securely by following set of controls. So you go search for PCI DSS standard, you'll be able to see in fact exhaustive information, which will be in fact kind of little overloading. Probably if some company is able to follow all of the controls without missing, so they can claim that they are following ISO 1, and even if the company is serving into other verticals like healthcare and other stuff, they can still very confidently say that they have all the controls necessary for HIPAA or other frameworks. So the PCI DSS have such stringent requirements with respect to how different aspects of security controls are defined. So this is about the point-to-point encryption, where basically the payment card information is getting transmitted between different points, and at the end of the day, how this whole of this data is getting transmitted, how this encryption of this whole of this thing should happen, whether we should be using any hardware-based encryption solution. That also is getting determined by these are the different recommended solution by PCI DSS body. So there are different accreditation programs and different certification programs PCI body themselves have got done, and risk assessment also. So how risk assessment for a company should be carried out with respect to PCI DSS. So probably how to build a risk assessment methodology, and if you are dealing with third parties. For example, all of the e-commerce companies suddenly deal with a payment gateway company. I hope not many of them own payment gateway on their own. They rely on some of the leading payment gateways. So at the end of the day, the payment gateway companies are third parties who are providing them the payment transaction services. So how the e-commerce companies should work in relation with the payment gateway companies to process the transactions, and probably how the risk reporting between these two companies should happen. Probably how the reconciliation of the data happens between the e-commerce company and the payment gateway company. How the payment gateway company is enabling the e-commerce store owner to kind of reconcile all of the transactions as valid. And so these are some of the key critical success factors of any risk assessment framework put for PCI DSS. So we cannot say that since I have put forward a risk assessment guideline for the company, I will skip PCI DSS compliance. No, it is kind of a brownie point which will help you when PCI DSS other control compliance are happening. It's not necessarily that it's a way to escape. So with respect to e-commerce industry, so there was a supplement released by Payment Council. So what they have done is, so let's see this in detail. So I am in slide 18. So what they have done is how e-commerce companies are handling the payment card information and how they are selling goods and services, and despite doing all of that, whether they are coupling to all of the payment card information in a secure manner. So that's what is getting defined in the supplement. So basically, we use APIs, application programming interfaces, in all of our e-commerce portals. So different kind of APIs are there to allow different vendors to access the information stored in the e-commerce sites. And also we in turn go and access APIs of other vendors so that we'll be able to collect some information. So how that the data kind of transaction is happening between different two upstream downstream systems using APIs is getting clearly determined by PCI DSS. So they have defined every aspect of the way the data may be transmitted across the portals. So how payment processing application should be designed, that they have designed. And if you are using inline frames, iframes per se, probably to give a look and feel to the end customer that, okay, I am using Flipkart, okay, I am using CC Avenue or EPS in the behind the screen to get my transaction processed. But end of the day, I do not want to give a look and feel or delay my customers saying that they are getting transmitted to some other site. If I want to give them a seamless experience, I may be using inline frames. How that inline frame or the hosted payment pages, that experience in the aspiration to provide a seamless customer experience, are we missing any security control? Are we kind of overlooking anything which should be taken care? So probably having a SSL certificate installed for the payment gateway page, that hosted payment page, where we are collecting that information and passing it on to the payment card company processor. So how we are doing this? What are the exact information we are collecting on the inline frame? Are we really trying to store anything, or without storing we are just transmitting it to the other payment gateway company, just trying to customize only that user experience aspect? So there are a lot of different nitty-gritty aspects which are very well thought out by Payment Cards Council, and they have defined it. So those who have kind of want to go for extra mile to know how e-commerce companies should be dealing with respect to payment card industry data. So the security means for all e-commerce companies, it mainly comes to, apart from the customer information, it comes to the payment card information data. So they should be mainly worried how they are complying with respect to PCI DSS. See, sadly speaking, not many of the e-commerce companies in India have a full-time chief information security officer. That's a very sad state of affairs. So probably I think we will go a long way and will improve. So you may not be seeing any American e-commerce companies without a full-time chief information security officer. E-commerce is a technology function, and where it is about a lot of information security activities. There need to be a full-time dedicated person who should be doing this activity, taking care of the security portion of the company. So probably our Indian e-commerce companies are coming a long way and improving upon it. So, and continuing on the guidelines whatever provided by payment card industry for e-commerce. So no option completely removes PCI DSS responsibilities, not even outsourcing. Probably I cannot say that, see, I have outsourced all of my payment gateway or payment processing related stuff to some payment card company, and they are the ones who are dealing with it. We cannot say that at all. So if, for example, Flipkart is getting attacked, and somebody is able to use some set of information available in the Flipkart site, and probably if they are able to get hold of some information, even though they may not be storing the card information, probably, and this is a very classic example. I'm using a username password for Flipkart, and I may be using the same username password for my HDFC or some kind of banking, internet banking. So when Flipkart is getting attacked, they do not have rights to say that, okay, I have not shared the payment card information, and probably the attacker was very smart and he was able to crack it by seeing the past transactions are carried out through this HDFC thing, and they have tried the same username password of the Flipkart thing to also penetrate to HDFC Bank's account information, and got the transaction through. They may not have rights to say it. So end of the day, when it comes to the MasterCard, Visa, or all of these payment card companies who are constituents of this payment card council, PCI council, they are very serious about how the business is done. So, and a lot of times, all of the e-commerce companies have a lot of in-house developed applications, which also deals with payment related information. So all of the applications which are developed in-house by any kind of e-commerce company or payment card related company should be abiding to this PCI DSS standards. So that's probably kind of a OWASP kind of a standard, which is talking in the perspective of payment cards. So you can see PCI DSS as a kind of a subset of OWASP. So again, finally, what it comes to the closing note is the documentation, documenting relationship between the merchant and third parties in regards to PCI DSS. Who is responsible, who is accountable, who is consulted, who is informed, defining RESI for everything, every activity, whatever we are outsourcing or wherever we are engaging in third party is very important for PCI DSS, complying to PCI DSS standard. And it is about defining RESI. It is about documenting who is the data owner, who is the data custodian, and defining all of the data ownership levels also is very important. When there is a litigation, these are the factors which are going to help resolve the banks or any insurance agency, and they will be able to kind of help the and the person who is getting impacted. And cloud computing guidelines. PCI DSS, in fact, have put a lot of guidelines with respect to cloud computing. Since they know that the modern day technology companies are using cloud computing a lot, as well as even the e-commerce companies are using or more towards cloud these days. They have put specific guidelines with respect to cloud. So in case if the transaction is initiated from a cloud application, how that should work, how the architecture of those applications should be interacting with the payment card application. So they have determined everything. So we can take a look at that at later. So as I mentioned, the mobile payment acceptance, PCI DSS defined the appendices. How this is a very evolving thing, mobile transactions, mobile payments. But still PCI have gone ahead and mentioned and underscored the importance of the different parties involved in this whole of this chain. So probably when we are doing a transaction from a web application, it is we do not hold this ISP, the Internet Security Service Provider, accountable for any loss of data. The payment, the chain may not hold them accountable, responsible in case if somebody is penetrating to that network. Probably maybe the end customer might have allowed some Trojan to happen, or the different applications, whatever we are using, is having maybe some security vulnerabilities. The ISPs may not come into the real situations, security incident situations, 95% of the situations. So, but when it comes to mobile payments, so there is a lot of scope for the mobile payment, mobile service provider also need to see how those payment transactions are carried out from the mobile internet. So the PCI DSS have gone ahead and defined how the mobile device should be kind of secured. What are the kind of ways they should the control should be put, and whenever a bank is determining that somebody is accessing, so end of the day the banks have complete knowledge. So whenever a packet is initiated, whenever a transaction is initiated, it comes from a mobile or if it comes from a desktop endpoint. So the packet can be differentiated from which service provider it's coming from. So they should handle different guidelines, how the different transactions originating from different service provider should be carried out. So merchant issues on campus. So there are a lot of issues with happens. Security incidents happens with respect to e-commerce and cloud-related companies with respect to cardholder data leakage. So a lot of times we are curious where the data is getting stored, whether it's stored in every place or it's stored only with MasterCard, Visa, how it is happening. So end of the day, ideally speaking, it's not stored locally, and it should be stored in a very secure environment, and must be a kind of a tier 1 data center, and where they should have almost all of the security controls, which is helping them to abide to SSAE and PCI DSS or ISO 27001 kind of standards and regulations. So it cannot be stored just like that in a kind of a local environment of any technology company. So that is clearly determined. And who are dealing with respect to payment card information over voice? So how that is happening? So there are some controls like whole of this different transactions, whatever we carry out, where we interact with the customer and help them process some payments and etc. stuff. Those whole of those conversations should be recorded. There are some controls like that, and how the transaction should be carried out when we are using VoIP like devices or different service providers and different events. Also getting clearly defined in the PCI DSS standard. And then just moving to slide 23, 24. So we can see these are the different service providers: paper forms, kiosks, food service, and bookstores, medical practice, patient collections, conferences, libraries. So we initially in the first slide we were talking about personally identifiable information, PII. So what exactly is PII? So PII is nothing but an information which helps somebody to identify that okay, he's the person X. So probably in India, so if it is our driving license number or passport number, we will be able to clearly bring out the history, saying that okay, this person's permanent residence is so and so, and he has lived there for X many years, and this is the background of the particular person. So except kind of the nationalized identity numbers like passport number and other numbers, the driving license number, there are initiatives by Indian government where they are trying to bring that unique identity number through Aadhaar. So there are a lot of initiatives happening. There are a lot of controversies also with respect to the same. Even today there was an article with respect to the same, how government is trying to commoditize the same by bringing different private stakeholders. So we need to be very careful how the government is going to be carrying out this sort of this initiative. So personally identifiable information. So we can say that there can be identity theft, embarrassment, and blackmail when somebody is able to get hold of the PIA. So when there is security breach happening, and when the PIA is lost, probably maybe just information that we may have lost our the passport number or driving license number or credit card number, some information. So if the data is getting leaked, so the individual may be embarrassed and they can be blackmailed. Okay, I may be using your credit card. So if I'm kind of not to be using your credit card, you should be paying me this money, something like that. So, and I have your whole of your personal identity information. So so that to not to leak it to the external world, you pay me this. So there can be different techniques to kind of get money from different people when we are able to get hold of PIA. So the when there's a PIA security breach, there can be a lot of organizational harm which can occur. The public will lose the trust, and there will be legal liability. For example, there was an attack last week, which happened in India, which happened against India. Couple of payment gateway companies, N-Stage and Electrocard, based out of Bangalore and Pune respectively. So the bank is based out of Arab, and the attack happened in US, and the payment gateway processing is happening in India, Bangalore and Pune. So certainly there will be legal liability by the respective bank against those payment gateway processing companies, and they will try to sort out the liability by processing the whole of this incident through the insurance, and keeping all of that aside. So there will be kind of legal recourse by the appropriate agencies in the country. So now this particular incident happened in US. So probably the bank of the particular bank in Dubai will be reaching out to the US police agencies and the appropriate Federal Bureau of Investigation kind of agencies to reach out and track that big nexus of hacker like criminals who were able to attack that particular payment gateway service provider to mimic the prepaid cards issued by the payment gateway provider to a bank's customer on their behalf. So what the payment gateway company has done is, so right now we are using debit card and credit card. So there is a concept called prepaid card where some amount is loaded prepaid, and basically the guys with 5,000 worth prepaid card, I can swipe it and I can take it. That's it. So there was the personal information of those cards were mimicked simultaneously across US, and it was attacked. And there was a big ring of people were utilized to carry out that attack in the last week. I do not know how many other e-commerce companies in India are aware about even the situation, and they know that they need to be kind of taking extra care and going extra mile when this kind of situations occur. So it's about a lot of security investment. So security comes with a cost. That probably is one of the inhibition of all of the companies not to kind of make that investment initially. But they start investing once after there is a security incident. So there is again a financial aspect here, remediation cost. Once after that the incident security breach has happened, and how to remediate that particular situation. So probably go and fix that vulnerability. So right now, okay, now how this attacker nexus from US got into the payment gateway companies network, how they penetrated, whether it's an insider information leak or they got through some technological gap, or how the information got leaked, one, and then how to fix it. So it really comes with a own cost. So a lot of times it is about even getting the license to do business getting cancelled by MasterCard, Visa, and then reapplying for it after you complete all the controls, saying that I have remediated all the gaps, whatever was there, and then getting it, getting the business started, restarted again. So there are different approaches which is helping this payment card industry data to be safeguarded securely. So there's an approach called the risk-based approach, which will help us minimize the collection and retention of PII. So you try to avoid as much as possible to collect that personal information. So if it is just the email ID, just collect that. Don't collect the whole sort of information again and again many times. Just try to allow all of the users to log in as guest users and try to still allow them to do a transaction without even storing their personally identifiable information. So just try to have that IP in your record and try to help them kind of recreate that same seamless experience whenever they come next time. So I'm visiting Flipkart today, and probably I may be visiting again 10 days after when they have a cookie on my machine, which is storing all of my personal information. And when I'm not asked to put all my personal information again on the site, I'm glad. But how well I have defined that cookie storing of the personal information, that counts a lot. But I'm not taking that personal information to my site. I'm just making it reside in the person who were the end customer on their local machine. So Mr. Met George Bowie, former US National Security Advisor, had a quote on this. If we guard our toothbrushes and diamonds with equal zeal, we lose fewer toothbrushes and more diamonds. So probably I think it has a pun intended. Probably we'll be able to enjoy that pun. So categorize PII by confidentiality impact level, and if you are collecting personally identifiable information from anybody, we may be an e-commerce company, we may be some service provider, we may be some cloud hosting company, we may be doing some service. But how well we are categorizing the different information we are collecting? What is the impact level of that information? In case if it is lost, it is going to be a huge threat to the organization, or just a minor threat. So develop an incident response plan. Don't cover up. So these kind of things we can learn from a lot of American enterprises. When there was an attack happened on Twitter or LinkedIn, you may not be seeing the CISOs hiding behind. So they would be the one who will be sitting with their PR team and putting the appropriate response to the world, saying that okay, we got attacked, we are trying to fix. That's it. So that's a single liner they used to give, and they will be on their job, where they will try to figure out what are the things they should be able to do to avoid such incidents in the future. So apply appropriate safeguards based on confidentiality level. So this also needs to be done, and a coordinated effort need to be carried out for managing personally identifiable information issues. So the coordinated effort means the management need to have a buy-in for whole of the organization. So they should be blessing the organization to carry out this. So first, the organization need to identify where and all the personally identifiable information is getting received, and they should minimize the PII usage, collection and storage, and basically the confidentiality impact level and incident response, and concerted effort where the coordination between chief information officer, security officer, and CEO should be happening. So a lot of Indian companies have an inhibition of deputing somebody as a security officer, wherein they try to ask somebody from the technology team or some other team, CTO double hatting as CAO, CAO double hatting as CASO, kind of things happen. So we should go towards that path of having separate CISOs deal their separate security strategy stuff. So it is an investment, it's a worth investment, which will help the world to recognize the Indian e-commerce industry and other cloud technology companies to mature their information security practices. So trends and tips. Follow industry best practices for network and IT security. Use tools and services which are geared towards PCI compliance and align with a larger partner or very partner. So this is coming from there. And the PCI is not about securing sensitive data, it's about eliminating data altogether. So, so this is coming from quality analyst who's also part of Forrester. And basically virtualization, if it is virtualization, how it is kind of getting defined, whether the whole of the box is in the scope, or that server where we are trying to host an application, that virtualized the VMware box or whatever box server virtualized box we are trying to build is the only in scope. So there are a lot of different new questions being raised, and the PCI DSS standard is also getting evolved. So it's a technology neutral standard. PCI DSS as a body never recommends, okay, you go use McAfee DLP, you go use Symantec endpoints. So they don't recommend any particular technology vendor per se. So, and they also don't provide guidance for their QSAs. And basically, if you try to segment where the cardholder data landscape is there, and also understand the cost of remediation and try to reduce it and try to reduce the exposure. And the outsourcing, how the outsourcing should be carried out. And PCI swallows its own tail. So this is a quote coming from the Mr. Benny, who is part of the US Parliament. He has mentioned this quote saying that I am concerned that as long as the payment card industry is citing the standards, we will never see a more secure system. He is seeing that, so that this is a stand coming from the industry themselves, how we can rely on it. So we in Congress must consider whether we can continue to rely on industry created standards, particularly if they are inadequate to address the ongoing threat. So that is a little bit of truth. So because since it's coming from MasterCard, Visa, see, there are still a lot of stringent aspects which they are not able to enforce the end-to-end payment card processor or different stakeholders, and they are little lenient on this aspect. So too many have lost sight of goal, which is to reduce the risk of security breaches and card fraud. This is coming from David Taylor, who is having PCI knowledge base. Say the assessors are always focusing on the word standard. They do not understand why the standard was written or the risk built into it. So he has given this further information, how secure network should be built and maintained. So these are the set of sections which PCI DSS standard is doing. How to build and maintain a secure network, how to protect cardholder data, how to define a vulnerability management program, how to have a strong access control measures, how we can monitor and test our networks, how to maintain an information security policy. And basically, if you are an organization who are just doing a checklist way of security, it is not going to help. It's just evil, according to Anton, Dr. Anton. So the smart way of doing security is understand the risk and monitor for attacks, and also follow application security, have a lot of security solutions like firewalls, SSL, AV, IDS, IPS, Windows application firewall, SIEM, DLP, data loss prevention, application monitoring, so many things, and also visibility, how the different controls can be put forward, and also we should be in a state where we should know that how secure all of these controls are. If you are just doing security for the sake of security, we may be called as stupid, where we may be just maintaining the, okay, these are some minimum checklist asked by master visa, let me comply to it. And I should be worried, okay, nobody should not hack me. That's my intention. Instead of being proactive and monitoring for future attacks, we may be just doing some postmortem thing where nobody should be attacking us. We may be just doing network security alone. We may not be thinking beyond about application level security, and we may be just having some firewalls, SSL certificate, and antivirus. That's it. Only when you have kind of a long-term strategy, we may be thinking, when we have a CISO, he will be planning for this IDS, IPS, data loss prevention, security incident, and event management. So a GRC kind of solution will help the e-commerce companies. So in fact, keeping all of these things aside, in fact, I'm on a mission to build GRC, enterprise GRC and IT GRC to secure all of the medium and large enterprises of the globe. So there are a lot of reputed GRC products by IBM, SAP, Oracle, Thomson Reuters, and EMC Square, RSA. So probably all of them are selling it for $1 million, where the e-commerce companies, whole of the revenue itself is not falling under the bucket right now in India. So probably I'm trying to help these organizations with their kind of cloud-hosted solution, which will help them monitor the security controls with a GRC solution suiting their needs. So PCI DSS has raised a lot of awareness about web security, and a lot of sites have cross-site scripting. So can we mandate? No. Mandatory means minimum. So road to compliance. So these are some of the useful links. You can go across and take a look. Who are the different approved scanning vendor? Who are the QSAs, approved qualified security assessors? Different things. Okay, now I'll open for questions, and I see a question. Any problem if card data is moving to Amazon cloud? There is no problem. So you need to go through your kind of, even Amazon. Mr. Lokesha has asked any problem if card data is moving to Amazon cloud. So there is no problem. A lot of companies have an assumption that cloud is evil for payment related information, or anything which we need to do in a secure manner. No, it's not that way. So a lot of even payment gateway companies, in of whether they are accepting it or not, they are also using some private clouds to provision their application, payment gateway applications to end customers like e-commerce companies. So so the cloud is already there. Only thing is whether they are using it to Amazon, or they are hosting it on their own, or their own infrastructure, etc. So Amazon also have a standardized, highly secure level 1 infrastructure data centers where the information are getting stored, and they are also ISO 27001 certified and SSAE certified, etc. So we just worry about what are the regulations, what Amazon is kind of following on, and how well we have written our application which is using Amazon's cloud services. Those are the aspects which we should be worried. So, and I am seeing another question from Mangesh Harishandani. Dear speaker, based on your talk, you are suggesting that it has to be mixed approach of proactive measures and reactive measures. No, I would recommend the proactive measures. So probably going back to the 2 slides back, there was a mention about stupid security and smart security. I would recommend you to follow stupid security, not stupid security. Follow smart security. So you have all proactive measures. You have IDS, IPS, you have SIEM tools, you have a GRC product. So if you are not able to afford a Archer kind of product, GRC product, go for somebody who is providing to small and medium enterprises. Come to us. So go to somebody who is providing cloud GRC, which is helping you to monitor IT security controls and enterprise security controls. So it's about monitoring of control. So you do it proactively. That's the only way we have to. So okay, that's it. Any other questions? Hope the session was useful. You can pass on the feedback to TechGig and team, which will help us improve upon our presentations, and I will try to kind of participate and give some other perspectives in the future as well. So I have left my personal cell number and my personal email ID. In case of any queries, any kind of assistance needed, you can send a note to me. Why corporates are not preferring for cloud? It's because of Mr. Delhi Ganesh has asked this thing. So the corporates are not preferring for cloud because of a lot of wrong assumptions about cloud. Cloud means they are assuming that they don't have the control where the data is getting stored. No, it's not that way. So the cloud companies, cloud technology companies have come a long way. They have put a cloud security alliance. From Amazon to Rackspace, everybody is part of that alliance. In fact, I am part of that alliance. So Cloud Security Alliance have defined the most secure standard, how the cloud technology companies should be storing the data of different customers. So if somebody is saying that cloud is not secure, then they are going to be left behind in the game. I see another question from Mangesh Karchandani. How does having your org being compliant with ISO 27001 help when doing PCI DSS? So in fact, PCI DSS and ISO 27001 is overlapping. So it helps a lot with respect to complying to PCI DSS when you have a ISO 27001 certificate. Reach out to vendor, they will be able to tell you what are the controls you have already met by complying to ISO 27001. Any other questions, folks? I think we are running short of time. I think I have taken already 7 minutes, etc.
Well, thank you for the insightful presentation, Shan. Those were the only questions we had today. I'm really thankful to you for conducting this session.
Thanks a lot, ma'am.
I would also like to thank all our participants. Yeah. I would also like to thank all our participants for their support in making this webinar a success. I would request you all to post your feedback on this webinar. On this webinar page, there would be a form. You can fill that form and give your feedback on this webinar. I would also like to tell you all that the recording of this session would be available on techgeek.com by today evening. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thanks a lot, Monica. Thanks, Steve.